Hello folks, it's Mr. Moff, and I am bringing you a 3 versus 3 in the Operation Market Garden mod in Company of Heroes. Someone has actually posted a replay that I am not in, which is giving us a fresh, new, rare opportunity to shoutcast a game. So, what we're looking at here is a 3 versus 3 on, oh goodness, whatever this map is. I don't know these things by look. I wasn't paying attention when it was loading in, so it'll be in the title, and you'll find out that way. But on the allies, we've got Stormtrout. You can see playing as armor because he's starting with an easy 8 Sherman variant. We've got Area, who is also playing as armored, starting with his famous light vehicle maneuver start. We'll see if we can see some flanking actions from him this game. And then in the left lane, we have Otto, who is starting as airborne, so it would seem he's starting with paratroopers since he has nothing coming on the field here. We'll have to look in the middle of the map for that. And then on the axis, we have Gobbo Slayer, otherwise known as Dr. Nick, playing as Terror. I believe, yep, we can see his Terror officer here with his Sturmgewehr. We have, over here on the right, Halloween, who is playing as Defense. And, click on Orange Unit, Rye Assassin, who is playing also as Defense. So we'll be seeing how the heavy armor presence for the allies will match up against what I assume to be a large number of bunkers and or 88s forthcoming. So let's hit that play button and get on with it. I think I will look at this from the Axis perspective here, this game, just because it's a little bit easier if the units, you can see their panels, whatever you call these little things, you know. Anyway, here comes Otto's airborne start. He's got some RRs, some assault airborne with Thompsons, and an AT gun that have plopped down in the middle here. We got mines coming down with these Greyhounds. Watch out for those are powerful Greyhound mines. One thing that is interesting about the Easy 8, I like this unit, but it is very specialized. Basically, so this is an OMG unique unit, but the thing about it is that it is effectively an M10 tank destroyer gun on a Sherman chassis. So it is extremely good at bullying light vehicles and medium tanks. Basically anything lighter than itself, it will beat up. And that's about it. And seeing as how the Axis have not really started with a whole lot of vehicles except for this one Puma, we'll have to see how Stormtrout manages to get some mileage out of this. Because it is, you know, if, for example, they're going up against Blitz and they had started with Panzer IVs, or they're going up against PE and they'd started with a bunch of light vehicles, this would be a fantastic counter to that. But the Axis has mostly started with infantry. And a few Panzerschrecks at that, and multiple pack guns here, and we've got a Panther Term coming up from Halloween, so I expect this Easy 8 might struggle. It seems as though the Allies are shifting north, looking to do some sort of flanking attack, having seen the support weapons beginning to dig in elsewhere, trying to take advantage of this open flank that the Axis have neglected. Gobbo Slayer probing in, just seeing what he can see. We do have this mechanized infantry on escorting the Easy 8. We can see Stormtrout has invested in the Minesweeper for one squad and a bazooka on another squad. So a very sort of well-rounded aggressive start. I imagine the idea here was that the Easy 8 would take on any vehicles and then the mech inf would clean up AT guns and infantry, but so far that hasn't worked out just because the big massive machine guns, all three Axis players starting with a machine gun. So this flank is in action here. We've got Otto von Saxony in front with his paratroopers. We do have the Panther Term up and now a medic bunker going up in the middle for Gobbo Slayer, try to get some walking wounded. And he is playing as Terror. If I recall correctly, I believe Terror does get some sort of benefit they can purchase, some doctrinal benefit from walking wounded, whether it's the MP41s or something I don't quite recall. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. But we do see Rye Assassin sending a Sentinel unit to the left to try to keep an eye out for this, but he's going to get overwhelmed with that unit very quickly. This Panzerschreck squad is completely toast against these Thompsons from the mechanized infantry. You can see the little star here. They're getting the offensive bonus, the suppression resistance, and extra damage in some form. So yeah, that Panzerschreck is melted, and that's going to clear the way for this EZ8 to come in and, again, probably not accomplish a whole lot, but it's better than it getting blown up for nothing. We've got the airborne from Otto probing right. He might run into some of these bunkers if they can get through. We'll have to see if they have any satchel charges. But it looks like they're going to get pushed off by Gobbleslayer's concentrated force, supported by Rye Assassin's pack gun here, just turning straight around. And that's left Area just sort of largely out of position. He needs to get in there, and he is going to attack from the front here. It looks like the Allies are going to try to sandwich the Axis in between them. But Gobbleslayer has got that Terra MG set up, that self-casting 10% incoming accuracy on the target that it's shooting at. So Otto is quickly getting his airborne out of there before they get too damaged. It looks like instead they're going to come to the back and deal with this repair bunker that they found. So that's a nice, easy early victory that they can pick up if they can manage to get that. And Area just keeping them busy momentarily, try to buy some time. And it looks like the EZ8 is coming in handy for destroying this, and they do manage to get it, as well as the Pioneer inside. Although I don't think there was a whole lot that Pioneer could have done to escape unless they just retreated, so it's not really here nor there. And it looks like the Allies are going to take that victory and run with it. Axis are heavily investing these units to try to chase them off, and the Allies are just retreating. Halloween got a lot of units to micro just sort of all over the field, trying to get these things up over here and also manage this pack gun and this mortar. Lagging a little bit behind as Gobbleslayer just tried to sort of shield their backfield. It is worth noting that the Allies have managed to capture all the way down to the Axis spawn here, or I should say they've neutralized this sector here. But that Terra MG from Gobbo continues to be a nuisance. You can see this little debuff being casted on the paratroopers here, and they're sort of just slowly making their way out. Let's see if this pack manages to get a shot on the EZ8. I don't think it will. Meanwhile, over here in the middle, Area's Greyhounds have picked apart this MG that has sort of been left to its lonesome because all of the AT assets have been diverted to try to deal with the Sherman. Allies not pulling out quite yet. Grenade going off, doing a lot of damage to Gobbleslayer's infantry here. This Knight's Crosshold is taking a lot of damage. Only one casualty, but here comes another grenade. Now this guy's down to one squad. The flamethrower's down to one squad. This MG is packed up out of position. I guess he was trying to move it up. Maybe he misclicked or something. Does get it set up again, but that suppression resistance from the EZ8 coming in handy for that mechanized infantry. One of them is suppressed now. That flamethrower squad just doing a lot of damage. Not getting a whole lot of kills. And he goes down. It looks like Otto's paratroopers have been mostly wiped out, so they are going to disengage from this situation. Hard to tell who came out on top there. The Allies definitely scored a big win for that repair bunker. And they did a lot of damage to Gobbleslayer's blob here. Although you can see the surviving units have healed up. Otto did lose a lot of paratroopers for that. So, hard to tell. Losses on both sides for sure. Allies are continuing to fall back as the Axis looks like they're sort of struggling to regroup here. They're just sort of going back all over. Not sure what just died there. But Area's Greyhounds have nearly 15 kills between them, which is not bad. He's been, again, just sort of left to do his own thing on the front line, harass units, while the rest deal with this hard flank that his teammates went around. Ooh, and there's two dropped Panzerschrecks here. That is a huge boon to have on airborne squads. One squad's picking one up, and it looks like he's leaving the other one for one of his teammates to grab. Oh, I see. The other airborne squad is going to pick it up. Yes, that makes a lot more sense. Airborne is a much better platform for this than Rifleman. So whatever Area managed to do with his Greyhounds to make the Axis drop Panzerschrecks for his teammate to pick up, that is definitely a huge boon for them to grab during this. That's sort of a tangent effect to that big engagement. Anyway, big off-map, defensive off-map coming down and just deleting that anti-tank gun. Trading for the Ostwind, which did hit a mine, and so got itself disabled in front of that AT gun. Now, those defensive barrages are powerful, but they are expensive. I don't recall offhand which one is necessarily more expensive, just in terms of raw resource costs. I think the AT guns are a little bit more expensive, but they also, the bulk of that is in manpower. We won't know, I don't believe, if that AT gun had AP rounds on it, but at any rate, it seems as though the Axis decided that spending that to destroy one AT gun was worth it. And if their strategy is to whittle down the Allied anti-tank and then bring on their tanks in the late game, that can certainly be worth it. It does look like Gobbleslayer has managed to take out this MG bunker that was constructed using his pack. And the Allies converging in on Ryassassin's northern flank here. Gobbleslayer moving to assist, but this is a big concentration of units, along with Otto's Panzerschreck airborne here. We're going to be a bit of a nuisance for this Ostwind, but more importantly, he was able to use them to destroy this pack gun, and that is going to help clear the way for this EZ-8. If they can deal with this other pack gun, then the EZ-8 is going to be free to come in and clean up this Ostwind. Got another AT gun from Area coming in position to ward off the very same. Halloween coming in with Pioneers, maybe looking for something to blow up, or maybe just trying to capture. We do have two pack guns in position here now. Gobbleslayer's AT gun crew is very injured. He might consider retreating that crew and replacing it with these Volksgrenadiers, because if it takes one bad hit from a stray, tank shell or something, it could go down. Or this bombing run. Whoa, that bomb landed square on the gun shield for this pack gun. Only killed one guy, but did heavy damage to the gun. So I was going to say a nice hit from these Panzerschrecks could finish it off, but Otto is going to want to get these out of here. He's committing. He took some bad hits from mortars or something, but he's committing to try to take out the AT gun, and he does. Something else goes down here. I believe that was the Ostwind going down to that Hellcat. And now he's going to try to escape, but Gobbleslayer's remaining KCH are going to clean this up easily with the amount of damage on these guys. Otto's going to try to get this squad out before he drops the Panzerschreck. There is Greyhounds coming in to ward these off. I'm sure this Greyhounds can probably clean at least one of these up, but Gobble's got this AT gun creeping up. It's not under cloak, even though it's moving slowly, so I'm not sure what's revealing it, but he needs to get that set up. Pardon me, I am just getting over a cold. Anyway, one of the Greyhounds goes down, and it looks like Ryassassin had this MG in the perfect position to cover that AT gun, but unfortunately, as I was saying before, the crew is too injured. We do have a walking wounded squad coming on now for Gobbleslayer. Maybe that's what he was waiting for, and he does seem to have the upgrades for his walking wounded to give them MP40s. I believe the squad gets 2 MP40s and a Panzerfaust, if I recall correctly. So that can make them a bit of a nuisance to deal with. We do have this Greyhound from Otto now. 3 kills and that tank, the Ostwind, under its belt. Just going ham over here. Does have the 50 cal, and this is probably the Hellhound's 50 cal. The airborne doctrine is able to get an upgrade that is able to give their Hellcats the Staghound 50 cal, which is arbitrarily significantly better than your regular pintle-mounted 50 cal. You can see it is doing a lot of damage and suppression to these poor Volks here who are desperately trying to get into this building to escape. Golly, that's a lot of damage, as they say. Gobbleslayer does seem to have recruited that pack gun, I imagine, just because the walking wounded are down to just a couple guys. Looks like a hand grenade going off. I don't believe the walking wounded upgrade gives them grenades, so it might have been on the other squad. I'm not 100% certain how that works out. I believe it's defensive that only gets hand grenades, so I'm not sure whose hand grenade that was. Got a whole bunch of Panzerschrecks on for Halloween now, trying to engage this Hellcat, but he's intercepted by Otto's rifles. It looks like Otto has shifted to a tactic where he's just got this Hellcat to munch infantry, screened by rifles and with a mortar to support, rather than investing more of his paratroopers at this stage in the game, because he's already burned through quite a lot of them. 2 whole platoons worth, in fact. Fresh Panzer IV on from Gobbo Slayer. We do still have the Easy 8 on from Stormtrout, so depending on how both sides sort of play this engagement, he is going to possibly struggle against that. The Easy 8 really just bullies Panzer IVs. It is a very unfair matchup. The Easy 8 can basically just have its way with the Panzer IV any way it likes. We also have some quads on from area. You can see there, though, only 5 kills on the Easy 8. Not so good against infantry. Trying to get out of there against those Panzerschrecks using his tank smoke to reduce their accuracy. Gobbo Slayer's Terror MGs have been doing quite a lot of damage this game. Oh, what went down here? I didn't see what was here. Well, maybe one of you did, dear viewers. Anyway, here comes this engagement, the Easy 8 against the Panzer IV. We've also got this mech imp with the bazooka and this AT gun that's trying to get recrewed. Osman, or somebody, takes out the bazooka, but you can see here, the Easy 8 just effortlessly chewing through the hit points on this Panzer IV. The Easy 8, it's not only an M10 gun, but if I recall correctly, I believe it fires 20% faster or so than a standard M10 gun. And so you can see right there, I mean, he was able to get right up in the face of that Panzer IV, and it was freaking nothing. And that is the specific thing that the Easy 8 does well. So good on Stormtrout managing to keep this alive and in the game long enough to finally become relevant, just cleaning up these vehicles. Unfortunately, it has perhaps at least partially been at the cost of just not really doing a whole lot up until now, and that I imagine is at least part of the reason why the Allies have been pushed back so far to their spawn. Now I have been promised a close game, so I imagine they're going to be able to fight their way back up, potentially starting right now with this huge new wave that's coming on, catching Halloween's MG out of position. But as usual, Gobbo Slayer on the spot with his Terror MG, just completely shutting down that counterattack, giving Halloween the opportunity to reset up his MG42 as well. We do have the quad in, trying to, oh goodness, how do I use words? Trying to intimidate that, but with the Panzerschrecks there's not really a whole lot it's going to be able to do. Where are those AT guns that the Axis have been having for a while? We've got Gobbo Slayers here. Not sure where the others are. I know a couple of them are destroyed. Oh, nice shot from the Easy 8. The lucky 6th kill on that. Ooh. I think that was a stick grenade from over the trench there. Another MG42, just all these MG42s all over the place. And again, Gobbo Slayer is over here shutting down this airborne from Otto, as Area's 30 cal sets up to try to do some counter suppression, but in a 1-to-1 fight, it's not a great matchup to have an MG out of cover trying to fight a Terror MG in light cover. So he is going to back up out of that. Now this MG is crewed by Pioneers. You can see they have their model here with their Pioneer equipment. So they don't have a whole lot of health. But nonetheless, it's a very powerful gun. That debuff is pretty dangerous. We do see Gobbo Slayer taking out these listening posts that Halloween has. I don't remember exactly what those do because they're so rare. Very few people use them. But if I recall correctly, I believe they're a 1-pop asset that you can build that provides... Ooh, there goes the Easy 8. That provides line of sight and also locks down the territory from capture. Not 100%, but I think that's what they do. And if not, then something to that effect. Anyway, Panzerschreck squads take out the Easy 8 and are trying to get away, having been suppressed by this 30 cal. Stormtrout trying to chase them down and decrew this MG. Looks like the MG has a medkit. activated on it. I think that's a little white aura there. Yeah. So Halloween managing to keep that in the game. Another Hellcat on from Otto. I believe this is the second one. I think another one went down earlier. And we have a sniper. This is quite the combo because he can use the sniper to clear out AT guns and Panzerschrecks. And then clean up the rest with that Staghound 50 cal on the Hellcat. We have a new 30 cal emplacement up here from area, but the Pat gun is probably going to be able to take that out. Lots of machine guns this game from both sides. I think the ones for the Axis have been a bit more potent overall. But nonetheless, ooh, wow, what a mortar hit. Got 2 mortars on from Rye Assassin that are now, it would seem, racking up some kills. These might be new crews or something, because they've only got 2 guys each. And not many. Yeah, some Volks on that. Yeah, I think these are walking wounded or Volksgrenadiers or something. Ooh, lucky on that Hellcat there, dodging that Panzerschreck. He's pressing his luck. Rye Assassin trying to creep a Pat gun back, but it does get destroyed by, I'm not entirely sure what. Alright, I'm going to put that sniper on a control group. I'm sure I'll forget about it, but maybe I won't. 4 kills on it now. Is this a new emplacement going up? I think it is. Yes, it is. So that one emplacement was destroyed, and a new one is promptly going in the exact same location. We have a Jackson on now from Storm Trout. This is a another unique OMG unit. It's a reward unit. Although in the next patch it is going to be swapped around so that the Easy 8 becomes a reward unit and the Jackson becomes available for everyone to use. And this is essentially basically an M10, except it uses the Pershing armor-piercing gun, the HVAP gun, with a bit of an extra range stuck on it. Looks like we've got incoming rockets. Pardon me. If you were able to hear that, I took my headset off for a cough. I was dying a bit here. Not a whole lot I can do about it. Anyway, yes, as I said, Stormtrooper has Jackson on, which is a little bit of an interesting choice, just because the Allies have, or excuse me, the Axis have a lot more infantry on and anti-tank on than they do armor. They do have the one Panzer IV over here, but Otto's already got the Hellcat and these recoilless rifles singular to deal with it, as well as Ares AT gun, so it's an interesting choice. That said, the Pershing HVAP gun is not great against infantry, but it does, like, by armor-piercing gun standards, it is significantly better than average. You'll get lucky every now and then and get a nice snipe on a guy and kill him from full health. Like that. Just nabbed this Panzerschreck dude. Now he's going to unfortunately have to pick that up with Pioneers, which is a terrible platform for a Panzerschreck. Although, you know, saying that, gets a nice hit in. I do like this combo here where Stormtrout is using the Jeep to scout for the Easy 8 to, well, ostensibly, but not in actual fact. The idea, I'm sure, is to let the Jeep sort of have the Easy 8 sit at range and take advantage of its long range. But all these units here, I'm perhaps having a little bit, maybe a bit wary of putting the Jeep too far forward. I'm not entirely sure. 11 kills now on Otto's Hellcat in 3 buildings. Maybe it's these bunkers. Not too bad. The game does seem to have slowed down a bit now, and the Axis are using that opportunity to set up a terror howitzer. This is the left H from one of the campaigns, and taking advantage of one of the eccentricities of this, which is that instead of firing shells, it just summons an op map on the specific location, which lets you place it so aggressively behind buildings like this, without worrying about the shells impacting the building. The terror howitzer was buffed in one of the more recent patches, which is not terribly recent, broadly speaking, but I think there's a general consensus that the terror howitzer is significantly overtuned. It has a longer range than it used to, and it shoots a lot of shells that do a large amount of damage, so we'll have to keep an eye out for those barrages. Looked like Stormtrout was trying to steal this MG, but it didn't quite work out for him. Although, sniping whoever that guy was. Looks like the Panzerschrecks are coming for this Hellcat here, running into Otto's sniper, who's just whittling these guys down. 8 kills on him now, so not been terribly aggressive with the thing, right? Perhaps he is aware, or at the very least wary, of this counter snipe that Gobbo Slayer has on right now. You can see him trying to bait with these Volksgrenadiers. Maybe that's what's tipped Otto off to be suspicious, if someone is just sort of putting Volksgrenadiers forward, seemingly apropos of nothing while you have a sniper in the area. That's a good tip that might be bait. Here's a new Panzer IV from Rye Assassin, or a Panzer IV, is apparently damaged. But it looks like this AT gun here, don't know who that belonged to most recently. It is facing towards the Allies, but regardless, it's not in play, which is letting him just run amok now with this Panzer IV, and neither of Aria's teammates seem to be taking action with their tank destroyers to react. In fact, the Jackson, under threat from these Panzerschrecks, taking a lot of damage here. Now here comes the Hellcat. It's going to get a hit in, and there goes the main gun. Here come those Panzerfausts from the Walking Wounded, but able to finish off that P4. Lots of P4s dying this game without, I don't think, really accomplishing that much that I've been able to see. Looks like Stormtrout is going to pull his Jackson back. I don't know if he has any repairs on it. It doesn't look like it. Though he does have this half-track, which is maybe a demo team, because it's got 3 guys inside. I'm not entirely sure why he's just sort of running it right through all this stuff. Doesn't seem to have asked his teammates about any anti-tank presence in the area. But didn't pull off what it wanted to. Here comes the terror howitzer, coming down on the MG. And the mortar, more importantly. Aria's mortar is removed from play now, it looks like. I don't see the gun anymore. And Otto's airborne now, trying to chase down these Panzerschrecks. We've got rocket artillery incoming. Oh man, doing a lot of damage. And now with this sniper here too, he'd be easily able to finish those off, so he's going to back off. So 2 snipers on from the Axis. And it looks like Otto's sniper is gone now. The control group is gone, so it looks like Nick managed to get off the counter snipe. He's got 1 kill here. So for the time being, the Axis are free to use these snipers aggressively as they like until the Allies get on some kind of counter. The Allies do have at least 1 Jeep. They've been using Jeeps just to sort of generally scout, but no sort of concentrated Jeep presence. Wowee, Stormtrout managed to get this half-track in here and is going to get a 2-for-1 with this MG bunker and this medic bunker. I wonder if he already sent a charge off on the howitzer, because personally that's what I would have gone for when presented with all of this. He did. So he's got both of them. He got the MG bunker. He decrewed the howitzer but did not kill it. Oh man, and I was just wondering if Rye Assassin was going to realize to move his units away. He did not in time. Took some unnecessary casualties from that as well. Again, pardon me, you're just going to have to deal with that. Nothing I can do about it. But at any rate, the howitzer is decrewed, and it looks like Otto is bringing the Hellcat in to try to finish it off. There's no anti-tank here, but maybe he's a little bit shy. He doesn't know about any packs or anything, but honestly, I would be willing to trade a Hellcat for a terror howitzer. A terror howitzer is a much more dangerous asset, theoretically. than a Hellcat. And he does manage to take it out. Rye Assassin's pack gun just a little bit too late to get into position. Rye Assassin, of course, being defensive. So, I'm surprised to see that he doesn't have the defensive doctrine upgrade that makes packs move faster. This might be a recrew, although it does have, yeah, it has veterancy on it. So this is the original crew. He just doesn't have weapon crew movement speed, which is one of the things that you're able to get. But at any rate, looks like just misses his opportunity to get the Jackson. He gets a misfire as the Jackson just skirts around this corner here and might be able to get away. 20 kills now, 20 infantry kills and all these other things on that Hellcat. Not too shabby, Mr. Otto von Saxony. Only 1 kill on Halloween Sniper. Where's the other sniper at? 3 on Gabo, so being very conservative with these snipers. I'm not sure what they've taken out so far. We'll put these on control groups too, for no other reason than to see that they have died after the fact.
Enemy troops are firing on us!
Halloween taking advantage of this machine gun that he's got set up in this nice healthy building to shoot freely with his sniper. Also shooting rocket artillery, I'm guessing, at this machine gun nest, and if he's lucky he might get the mortar with it.
The unit has died, glory.
No such luck. Doesn't do that much to the MG either. But Otto's heroic Hellcat has taken some big hits from this pack gun that was lying in ambush there, and the Panzerschrecks do finish it off. So, 27 kills to its name. There it goes. Bar of veterancy, well deserved for Halloween's Grenadiers.
The infantry is attacking!
This Panther term with MG not really going to do a whole lot back here. If I were Halloween, I would consider moving the MG up somewhere. It does have this one here that he's being very aggressive with, just trying to use it as a axis for his sniper nearby, as well as the Panzerschreck squads kept nearby to protect it against Jeep rushes, which is also wise. Speaking of Jeeps, here comes a fresh one from Stormtrout, but again, this is not a dedicated anti-sniper column, it is just a Jeep deployment that he has in his company, presumably to scout for his tanks. So these snipers are going to keep firing, and this is definitely going to help Axis in their attrition game, because it looks like they never replaced that repair bunker that they lost, and that's the sort of main tool that they have to counteract the Allied healing station. Although that said, they do have a defensive medic on, which they can at least use to use spot healing. You are able to put them in bunkers and use them effectively as a equivalent to the British triage station, and it can be basically any bunker. Not every bunker. You can't do it in like Panther terms for, I think, logistical reasons. At any rate, whatever, Jeep is going to finish off this sniper. Halloween just not even trying to get out, just try to get one last kill off before it gets it. And there it goes. Maybe he didn't notice, or maybe he just sort of resigned to its fate. I think he might have been able to get away with getting into that building. But either way, that one Jeep from Stormtrout managed to finish off a sniper. Gobbo Slayer's other sniper here now with that Jeep out of the way is just firing freely, more or less. And he does have his own MG set up, this one being a Terror MG, of course, to protect his sniper. Stormtrout very efficiently using this one-man rifle squad to cap up the map. Does now have the Axis on territory bleed. Let's do our job properly and turn on cinematic mode so we can see what the population here is. Allies on the back foot, I think for the majority of this game, are below 40 pop. They're in fact at 29, which is a pretty severe deficit. But a lot of the Axis pop is tied up just all over the place back here. So the way the Axis are playing, it's not as big of a disadvantage as you would think. Looks like area is setting up a more aggressive triage station for the Allies to sort of bolster their position and fight around, which I do like. If you've got these in reserve, you should use them. Autos has been pretty safe so far from sabotage.
Stand down! We are conquering you!
Looks like
Watch it!
Halloween's attempt at a back cap here has been found. Does have the Grenadier Car 98s on his Pioneers, so these guys, this one man does a lot more damage than I think Otto is giving it credit for. There's only one Garand in the squad. I think the Pioneer will still lose, but you can see he did a lot of damage there. Grenadier rifles are very powerful. Anyway, here comes a offensive fire up from Otto, rushing past this MG. To what end, I'm not entirely sure. He's just stopping here. What's he doing? Didn't really accomplish a whole lot. A lot of players will reserve those for defensive use for this specific reason right here. Taking a lot of unnecessary damage from these half-tracks. Still 4 guys in this squad. If he can get away to the healing station and someone can take out that, yeah, wow. Very, very fortuitous for him there. That he didn't lose more. That could have potentially been disastrous. Here comes a bombing run. Took out, whatever this was. MG-42. Rocket artillery. Shooting wide, not really hitting a whole lot. 10 kills on this half-track, which is honestly not bad for a single rocket half-track. These things are very inconsistent, especially if you're shooting into the fog of war at maximum range. So, the amount of time this has been on, 10 unfortunately for a single half-track by itself is, I would say above average. I'm not a big fan of these units. But, when you are defensive, your options for artillery are pretty limited unless you invest in things like the off-map rocket artillery and defensive officers who can also call in their own off-maps. And I have not seen any officers from the defensive players, interestingly enough. Which I'm rather surprised about because, at least in my humble opinion, they're pretty fun and they're pretty good too. You can give them weapons, you can give them LT auras. You can supervise with them. Give them supervised auras. Right, it's a good time. They're very good weapons platform dudes because of how many hit points they have. Anyway, Halloween managing to take back this pack here with these Volksgrenadiers. I'm sure he's going to get away with this just because he's got this MG here. Otto would have to fire up in order to pursue that, and I think he's learned his lesson on that front. Here comes a Panzer IV. I don't see any anti-tank from the Allies here. You have a Chaffee on from Otto. It's another OMG exclusive unit. This is I believe it's a Stuart armor type with a decent chunk of health. This is Staghound health. I think the Staghound has Stuart armor as well. So effectively it's Staghound with a Sherman gun, if I recall correctly. Short barrel Sherman gun. Which is nothing to scoff at. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see how much damage this does at the Panzer IV. Well, if he can get it to phase properly, but it looks like he can't in time and is going to pull out because of this pure pack gun. So very unfortunate. This very sort of agile unit spinning around too fast. Couldn't get the gun on target. And the Panzer IV is going to get away scot-free. There's this AT gun here, so he's going to want to be careful moving up like this, but he's got his Volksgrenadiers to sort of chase it off. Back to the healing station where it'll be a bit more secure, especially with Otto's airborne here to protect it. Very bold and aggressive mortar team here from area, with the gun being so low and it being crewed by engineers who can be taken out pretty quickly, but it looks like he's trying to do some counter battery. Free hit in on the Panzer IV. Looks like This Panzer IV is going to be on its last legs, what with all of the Axis repairs having been taken out. Now, there is a second Terror Howitzer on from Gobbleslayer, which, on the one hand, I am surprised about, but on the other hand, probably shouldn't be, just with how potent these things are. But we've got Otto coming in with this Chaffee, and this has fired before apparently because it's got a building kill, so he knows where it is. Now, he does have the Panther term kind of guarding it, but not really because there's line of sight block here, so this is going to take that out pretty easily if the Axis are not able to react to it very swiftly, which I don't think they will be able to. Even if the Panzer IV went back there, the Chaffee could just finish off the Panzer IV and then take as much time as it wanted with this howitzer. So, very unfortunate for Gobbleslayer that his Terror Howitzers, which ostensibly are extremely potent units, did not get to accomplish much. Very well done to the Allies taking those tools out. Yeah. Very late on the draw with the Panzer IV here, and the Chaffee, of course, being a light tank, is much faster than the P4, so he's going to probably be able to get out of here. Time spent turning around might let the P4 get a hit in. But, nope, it's going to get away. So, nicely done to Otto, taking advantage of his flanking assets like that. Because the Axis doesn't seem to have been putting a huge focus on guarding this top side. This has been sort of the Allies sort of in to whatever attacks that they want to do, just because the rest of this is so heavily fortified with support weapons and bunkers. Seems like both of those snipers are dead now. We saw the one go down, but we've got a new one on from Rye Assassin, so we'll put that on a control group to track when it goes down. Definite weakness of my casting is keeping track of snipers. But, oh, buddy's perfect, as they say. Area cleaning up this back cap that the Axis have done. Allies, even with that big back cap that they had over here, never managed to, I think, break 30 population. And if they did, it was not for long. This sniper from Stormtrout needs to be careful. He's right next to a bunch of landmines with mortars coming down in the vicinity. It looks like Stormtrout is trying to set up some sort of counter snipe. He's got these engineers running around, probably trying to bait. And Rye Assassin might be about to bite. Not quite. Oh no, Stormtrout opened up with the sniper. I assume by... Oh, he's got 16 kills on it. He's been using this. So actually, this is the Rye Assassin counter snipe that's come up. I am paying good attention. Running around on Cloak, trying to get away. Thinks he's safe. There's the counter snipe. So nice job to Rye Assassin. Putting a stop to that 17 kill rampage from Stormtrout Sniper. And now, I think we've seen a sniper from every player, and if not, then awfully close to seeing a sniper from every player. And now, Rye Assassin's going to be free to do as he likes with this, because this late in the game, I don't know what anti-sniper assets each team will have left. We haven't seen any dedicated Jeep call-ins. It seems like every player has decided to counter an enemy sniper with their own sniper rather than do big Jeep rushes, aside from that one very opportunistic Jeep that orange player whose name escapes me, Stormtrout, managed to pull off. Game's slowing down a bit. Again, we are now an amount of time in. I don't know where the clock has gone. Here it is. We're now 42 minutes in. Let's check everyone's number of platoons used. Stormtrout has got 3 in reserve here, 18 out of 21. Area has a lot left. He's got 8 platoons left, which I guess to a degree is not uncommon among armor players, because the tanks can soak up a lot of pop all game. Although Area does, I think, tend to prefer light vehicles and infantry in doing sort of mobile warfare. It plays a very specific kind of game that often does not work so well against defensive, when they can just sort of lock down this area. Stormtrout, we already observed. Otto has got a decent amount left as well. So it's Stormtrout who's running low for the Allies. The Axis, Gobbo's got a decent amount left too. Oh no, excuse me. This did not update properly. Gobbleslayer is all on field. Rye Assassin's got a couple platoons left.
Water ready.
And Halloween has a couple platoons left. So we're starting to reach the end here.
Attack our forward base.
Goblin Slayer being all on field with a third, count it, third howitzer on. Compared to Area's major reserve of units, I think is the main thing to keep in mind here. In addition to the fact that the Allies have half pop presence. But again, the Axis have a lot of population tied up in the back, not on the front line. And I think the Allies have been managing to take advantage of that to stay in this game as long as they have, in spite of the fact that they've been on the back foot. Goblin Slayer does have some saboteurs on now. He's got a double column of saboteurs, so imagine they popped out of a building somewhere. Maybe he was a little bit reticent to use this building on account of the fact that, one, it might just be right next to enemies, which it is. And two, it seems as though the Axis were able to take care of both of the Allied healing stations when I was not looking. Oh, very near miss on that MG there. Almost finish it off, and these guys here probably will. Yep. So one less MG out of this very MG heavy game. Cabo's pack gun here facing the wrong direction. Wants to pay attention to that. More paratroopers from Otto. Or Otto? Yeah. Some RRs. Which not really any vehicles on for the Axis, but I suppose they could use it to kill this.
Yeah, have ready.
Or pack guns, or the third Terror Howitzer, which has yet to open up, I don't believe. But yeah, the Axis just sort of trying to, and I think very successfully, maintain their population advantage here, trying to just run the Allies off through population drain. Allies now down to 21 pop. It's a very slow game, but they are losing one population per minute. So if the Allies aren't able to turn that around or win by attrition before losing on population, then they'll be, well, I guess that's a sort of self-explanatory since it's nice.
Yeah, boy.
Hit 3 kills in 1 rocket on that half track there. This is also a major tool that the Axis has available to them. Again, I'm not a giant fan of these, generally speaking, but, you know, it comes down to, if you have artillery and the enemy does not, then, you know, it doesn't really matter how shitty it is. The enemy lacks the capability to retaliate effectively. Very bold sniper use here, just trying to finish off these rifles. I mean, this sniper is fine. These rifles are not going to be able to finish him off. Big breakthrough with this Panzer as well, taking out that MG. Not going to stick around to finish off the gun because he knows the Allies have armor roving around, or anti-tank I should say. Area bringing on a brand new fresh Sherman. I think Stormtrout is out here, right? I can't see his pop, but it's just this 30 cal or whatever this MG is. Goblin Slayer trying to catch the paratroopers, but they do manage to get away, and now that third Terror Howitzer is going to probably almost certainly die to no accomplishment. Very unfortunate for Nick, and fortunate and well done for the Allies that they managed to, oh man, unlucky massive hit from the friendly fire Panzerschreck. Managed to deal with these Terror Howitzers so effectively, because these can be, I promise, if you take my word for it, a major nuisance. A lot of friendly fire going on here. That mortar doing a lot of damage to these paratroopers, but also doing damage to the sniper. And the sniper, unless it's got a medkit, has got no way to heal. So I don't believe that medic is on anymore. Something goes down here. Panzer IV goes down, I think, to the Sherman. And a new Easy 8 from Stormtrout. Very interesting. Easy 8, not always the most popular unit. Again, I am a fan of it, but it's very specialized in what it does, which is bully anything lighter weight than itself. The Sherman goes down to the Panzerschrecks. And now this sniper just trying to finish off these RR squads. But not before they manage to finish off the Terror Howitzer. Yeah, this really is sort of coming down to it. The Allies managed to very briefly offset their population drain because they got up to 22 pop. Ooh. Where's this coming down at? On what? Right where the paratroopers were coming down. I'm not entirely sure how he knew that was happening. But Otto managed to get out of the way. And here comes the other Sherman from Area. So it looks like Area was basically trying to play the game that the Axis often does, where you basically just try to deny the enemy AT assets and then bring these tanks on way at the end when they just are too thinly spread to deal with it. He's going to try to use his smoke to dodge this pack gun. Does succeed, and he's going to back out. Try to use these line of sight blockers, while Stormtrout's Easy 8 easily takes out this Geschützwagen that the Axis had brought on to try to counter these vehicles. Now the the Axis did manage to capture this RR, but it's on a very poor platform. So I think this is largely going to come down to who can deal with the enemy's either armor or anti-armor assets first. As it looks like every player is sort of low on units, and Halloween is choosing to sort of bunker up using the church that has managed to survive this whole game. Oftentimes you see these be the sort of center of the fighting and go down, but most of the fighting has been taking place around here, so that makes sense, I guess. Area seems to have hit a mine or something and is using his vehicle crew self-repair to try to get that engine fixed up. And here we have the late game 88 from Halloween. Very interesting location, because it's going to have all these line of sight blockers from these buildings. Even if these buildings are destroyed, they'll still block line of sight, but he can destroy these hedgerows using the attack ground and give himself significant lateral line of sight over to here, which is certainly something. And something that he could really use right now with this Sherman roving around. Cabo's pack gun struggling to get into position here. This Sherman just feasting upon these poor Volksgrenadiers. But now he runs upon the 88 and he sees it, but the 88 is turning around to shoot the airborne instead. Looks like he just managed to dodge line of sight. He's instead using the Panzerschrecks to destroy the hedgerow so that the 88 is ready to go to shoot at whatever it can see. Nope, yeah, here it is. Now he's using the 88 to destroy this. So once to get that cleared out, as fast as he can. Yeah, and the Axis, true to the nature of having two defensive players, are choosing to bunker up right in the center of the map. The Allies now taking advantage of this to recapture the map and start to, well, get some population gain, which at this stage is probably not, I was going to say not quite so important, but Area still has a ton of units in reserve. He's got 6 platoons left, so if he's able to get more population on, that could actually be quite significant, because that would let him bring on, say, another tank, or maybe some mechanized infantry or something. Mechanized infantry would be great in this situation, just because it, they could power through and decrew the 88 with all these MGs here. It would require committing tanks to give them the aura, but with a Sherman, an Easy 8, and then, hypothetical mechanized infantry, I think you could definitely pull it off. The pack here and the Panzerschrecks are definitely complications, though. I want to call this for the Axis, because they've got such a stronghold here, but I'm not really sure, because the Allies are doing a very good job aggressively counter-capping the map here, and imminently are going to have the Axis completely cut off if the Axis don't do something about it, which is going to be a huge drain on their pop. And again, I think they're out of units. Let's double check this here. Halloween's all on. Cabo's all on. Rise hasn't all on. Oh, Rise has got 1 reserve, which I'm not sure why he's not pulling it on, because surely this pack gun and sniper are not soaking up all of his pop. Let's switch to his perspective real quick. Yeah, he's got 12 out of 40 pop with a unit in reserve. I don't know why the heck he's not bringing it on. At any rate, yeah, the Allies are... Oh man, who are we? We're on Halloween. The Allies are rapidly regaining population now. They're up to 26, which is not enough to call on new things, but they're gaining 3.5 per minute, and it looks like Halloween is now going to lose this artillery unit to the Easy 8. Managing to use this shot blocker here, combined with a pack gun, to save his bacon for now. It's going to be difficult for him to get out of there. And now he's losing the RR that he had. And now with these rifles coming up to not be 88, I think the Allies have this in hand. So how did this happen? I think largely it comes down to, in spite of the fact... Ooh, that friendly fire hit, but it's moot at this point. In spite of the fact that the Allies were on the back foot the entire game, until they managed to do this big counter push, the Axis were not effectively concentrating their forces. They had a lot of units spread out in the rear line, which let the Allies sort of trade evenly, or fight on even footing, I should say, in spite of the fact that they were disadvantaged on population. And so fighting with 20 pops worth of units, I mean, this is a thing that we see in a lot of replays because, you know, it's a thing that I guess happens in close games, but is much less common in actual gameplay. Team on the back foot managed to sort of turn around the fact that they were fighting with fewer units, turn that into fewer casualties, and still have units in reserve to fight with when the Axis had run out of steam, and so then they were able to just surround them. So, let that be a lesson for you. If you have units, make sure that they are in the correct position such that you can fight with them, especially if you are on the offense, so that the enemy can't do what the Allies managed to do this game. And well played to all. I don't really have a whole lot else there other than, yeah, props to my boy Stormtrout for highlighting the Easy 8, just because it's a neat unit that I feel like is a little bit underrepresented in gameplay. And that's that. Catch you on the next one. Hour-long game. Dang. All right.